Packing wounds is very important. It's one of those skills we talked about. You need to know how to learn how to do it and know how to do it, because if you've got penetrating trauma to the arm, to the chest, the abdomen, you put a bandage on top, you're basically stopping the capillaries that are there on top. You're not stopping the major vessels or that are in the lower than that. So you've got to be able to get down into them. So that's what the quick clot's for. It's in the sponge type. This is 25 grams here. So this is what I put in the smaller first aid kits just for the larger wounds that you're able to take care of. If you're on blood thinners, this is not bad stuff to have, because if you're on blood thinners, you're not able to clot. Your blood doesn't clot as well. So trying to control your bleeding can be difficult. You guys know that if you're on blood thinners, you see your arms are bruised, that's the capillaries. So the quick clots here. This is an O'Reilly's bandage. It's an emergency pressure bandage, and I love these things. You can do at least 100 different things with this thing. It's basically an ace bandage here. Has a 5x9 pad here. Remember we talked about big boo-boos? That's basically what this is here, okay? So we have big boo-boo here. We can fix it. You can use this as a pressure bandage. Remember we said put pressure on it, don't look at it? That's what this is for. Put pressure on it, don't look at it. It wraps around. It's got a couple different ways you can apply it, but has a tensioner here as well. So this goes in, feeds into the tensioner. I'll do it in a second.
What was the name of it again?
O'Reilly's bandage. You can also see it as emergency bandage, pressure bandage. It's got a couple different names. ISRAIL. No. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Goes here, and as you can pull back, dang it. Okay, now I've got it in there. You can see. So if I'm wrapping here, I can actually pull back on it and get more pressure. So you pull pressure, and as you rotate, all you're doing is putting more and more pressure. So you've got a huge area that you're trying to collapse, and the pressure is going to do it. You can also use it as a tourniquet. Once you get it wrapped in, has a nice little closure loop here. This can spin in, and you can actually rotate the bandage itself, and this will make a great tourniquet. You can use this on the head to bandage a head wound. You can do shoulders with it. It'll, of course, fix around your leg, arms. So this is a very versatile bandage, and they're pretty reasonably to pick up, too. They're like $10 for this. And they're stored up very easy, very small, so you can put them in your bug-out bag, you can put them in your range bag, and you can use it for that. When talking about tourniquets, this is the cat tourniquet. I love it. It's a lifesaver. It saved a bunch of lives. See how narrow this is? How thin? See how wide this is? The thinner your tourniquet is, the more pressure you have to put on the extremity, the more pounds of pressure you have to put on to stop the bleeding. So if I've got a wider bandage, it doesn't take nearly the amount of pressure for me to wrap it around to actually stop blood flow. If you're using one of these, it does take a little more pressure, but we've got the windlass here, so we can do that. But I saw a video on YouTube. Of course, if they can put it on YouTube, it's got to be true. This guy was telling you could use zip ties for a tourniquet. I was like, no, you cannot use a zip tie for tourniquet, okay? All right? I would love to sell you 1,000 zip ties and say, yeah, sure, you can use this. You can't, guys. It's not going to work. Remember we said the narrower it is, the more pressure. All you're going to do is just cut off their arm. It doesn't work. I actually did a video, I guess a few weeks ago, about this little rubber band that's about this wide, had Velcro on it, and it was being sold as a tourniquet for $3. I bought it off eBay. And of course, if it's on eBay, it's got to be awesome. So I bought it, $3 on eBay, got it, and I started laughing. I was like, this is a tourniquet? So I did a video on it. I was like, guys, if you're going to spend some money, don't spend the $3 on a tourniquet like this. This is not a tourniquet. It may be used for an IV, but this is not a tourniquet. Yeah, it's a great slingshot. But so pay attention when you're doing that. Here, it doesn't take as much pressure for me to stop bleeding. And what you're trying to do is you have the arteries go through your arms, the muscles here, there's a channel. So you're trying to collapse the muscle around the arteries to stop the bleeding. That's what the tourniquet's doing. So you've got this muscle mass here. You're trying to close it down. So if you're dealing with a leg, my chicken legs, it won't take as much, but you've got someone who's got larger legs, that's why you may need 2 tourniquets if you've got some major trauma to the leg. You may need a larger bandage here because you've got so much muscle mass that you're trying to collapse around the arteries to get the bleeding to stop. My little bitty arms here too. I'm not a big guy. I've been working out, if you can't tell. But here, this would not take much pressure to collapse the muscle around to get the artery to stop. So dealing with that, just to know what you're dealing with. Erase bandage, this is good stuff. The cat tourniquet, this is my favorite toy to play with. I sell these. Every police officer in my county has one. They sell them on their belt. They have them on their belt. They're close by. If something happens and you get shot in your leg femoral artery, it's about the size of your thumb. If you hold your thumb up, that's the size of your femoral artery. If you get shot, you get a penetrating trauma, something happens, you get a saw that cuts here. Even we're talking about guns because guns are cool, but dealing with hand saws. I was talking to a gentleman last night that works with wood. You're dealing with a saw, it cuts your leg. You have 3 minutes before you completely bleed out your entire blood volume. Richard, you want a tourniquet? 3 minutes before your artery completely bleed out your entire blood volume. We're not talking about half of it, you start getting decompensated shock and all that. 3 minutes and you're done. The county I work for, we run a lot of calls. Our average response time is 12 and a half minutes. So you do the math. If you're working in your wood shop and something happens, you accidentally cut your leg, you've got some time that you need to deal with. And you've got to be able to stop the bleeding quickly. So this is why I sell the cat tourniquet. Is this something I can teach you how to use? Yes. I can teach you how to use this in 5 minutes. It's super simple, okay? We sell them to police officers. So, good thing I'm skinny. I'm going to have to dodge some rounds coming out there. I normally make fun of firefighters, but it's easier to make fun of cops now. So, no. EMS are the black sheep of public service. Firefighters and police officers are all heroes. So, never mind, y'all. I'm just an ambulance driver. So, yeah, I'm just an ambulance driver. So, anyway, we'll get back on subject. Oh, I got 15 minutes. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry, I've been rambling. Cat tourniquet. If you're in a situation where you're panicking and you don't know where the bleeding is, put it as high as possible. Okay? Goes up here. Cinch this down here. It's got Velcro on it. Cinch this down as if you're trying to stop the blood flow right there. You're trying to apply the tourniquet. This is the little windlass here. It's like a plastic, I don't know what to call it, but wrap it around. This usually takes about 2 or 3 spins, and it'll stop blood flow, and you're done. Any bleeding from here on will stop. You wrap this around, tuck this down, and you're good to go. You can leave this on. You can leave this on for about 2 to 6 hours is what they recommend. They've been up to 16 hours, or there's even cases of 72 hours of having a tourniquet applied, them going to surgery and having full neurological function. Okay? When I got into EMS 11 years ago, they were like, tourniquets are bad. Tourniquets will kill people. Don't do tourniquets. Now, basically, what we are teaching on a national level, pre-hospital, is I put a direct pressure on. If I can't get bleeding to stop, I put a tourniquet. And we're done. There is some literature that says that you can leave this tourniquet on for an hour. Leave it on for an hour, and then slowly start to release this. And I'm not talking about just have it on for an hour and then take it off completely. Just don't do that. There is some literature that says you can leave this on for an hour, slowly start to undo it. Every 5 or 10 minutes, undo a little bit. Slowly over a period of time, take this off. In hopes that your body has built up the clotting process and has stopped the blood flow. And then when you open this back up, your body's already done the clot, and you're able to restore the rest of the blood flow into the rest of the arm. So you can take it off. It's just you have to be very careful. If you take this off and you get bleeding start back, you got to put it back on. So you can also do this around the leg. Goes here, as tight as I can get it, and then I spin to stop the blood flow. There again, if you're in a situation where you can't see the injury, put it as high as possible, and we'll take care of the rest. If you can see the wound, it only has to go a few inches above the actual injury, and you'll have it taken care of. When your body gets the laceration or gets the injury to the leg, the arteries and veins start to close in. It's this body. The body's actually very smart. It tries to take care of itself. It tries to fix itself. So if you put this too close to the injury site, you're not going to do anything about it. You're not going to fix it. You can use this in kids, peds. It will work. I know with the shootings going on, mass shootings for our children, you can apply this to your children if there's a situation that needs to be. You can hook them together. If you have a very large individual, Richard, you can put it together. Make 2 tourniquets out of 1, and it'll work. If you don't like your buddy too well, you can put it around their neck, and it fixes the problem, okay? Yeah, it works great for that kind of stuff. So I've sold quite a few to Richard's wife, so she's working with that. This is, it's fairly new onto the market. This is Celox or Celox, however you want to pronounce it. You can see the actual hemostatic agent falling off right now. But this basically helps with the clotting process again. And this, we talked about packing wounds. If you've got an injury here and you've got bleeding, putting a bandage on top, you're just slowing the bleeding down. There's still a lot of bleeding. You've got the brachial artery that's bleeding out right here. You've got to be able to get to it. So putting this into the wound is what you've got to do. You've got to pack the wound and get it in there. This is where you've got to get to the source of the bleeding. There's 10 feet of this in here. I talked to a buddy of mine who does special forces. It just got hit. He's been hit twice with an IED overseas. But this last one, he got hit with an IED, and it completely took this part, blown it away. They took 8 rolls of this stuff to pack his wound. And he is walking. He's actually trying to join back with his group now. So this stuff works. It saves lives. It's what they're using currently in our military, and it works. It saves lives. This stuff's expensive, guys, and I'm not going to lie to you. It's expensive. But if something happens, how much is your life worth? You know, we talked about that 3 minutes. You know, you're going to bleed out. Then if something happens, you would give every last dollar you had for this cat tourniquet. You would. You'd pay $1,000 for this thing. But you've got to have it close by, have it nearby. We talked about the quick clot. You've got to pull this stuff out. Okay, once the bleeding gets controlled, you've got to be able to pull this stuff out. It's not natural for the body. The body will start building around it and actually can cause a lot of infection. So you've got to get the quick clot out. The Celox here, it actually breaks down into a simple sugar into your body, and your body will absorb it. So once we get the cloth, you still got to get the cloth out. You got to irrigate the cloth. Get the cloth out. This is what this is for. You can get the cloth out. But the hemostatic agent that's left over actually breaks down into a simple sugar, and your body will absorb it very quickly. So you don't have to worry about getting completely out, having to irrigate the wound. Let's see. Anything from the neckline to your belly button, you have to worry about air going in. Air takes the path of least resistance. It's how we're able to breathe. We basically breathe on a pressure gradient. Our diaphragm goes up, it forces our lungs to get smaller, and it forces air out. Our diaphragm drops down, makes our lungs bigger, and actually draws the air inside our lungs and goes into the alveoli, and that's how we go. That's how we breathe. So if we get a hole in our chest, the path of least resistance is through the chest, not the trachea and the lungs. So we have to be able to seal that up. Now, a simple hole in the chest is bad. when you start getting a tension pneumothorax, and that's when the patient starts going into shock, and you actually see the lungs move over, and it actually puts pressure on the heart, they're going to die. That's life-threatening if we don't fix it. So that's why I have the chest seals here, and they're super sticky. Wow, okay. This is a super sticky pad. You put it on. Anything from the belly button, or not, this is not my belly button. Belly button to the throat, you put a sticky pad on. You fix it. If you don't have this, the easiest thing, I take my gloved hand, because I've got gloves on, I stick it to your chest, okay? That works on stopping most of the air. But I can take this, 4x4, tape it here. Just tape it. And I can seal the chest up pretty well with that. It'll work because the blood starts drying up, and as it dries up, it seals. So it'll work. But you've got to be able to stop that air from going in because your patient will die. Every time I post a video about that, I get a question about, I want to stick a needle in somebody's chest. Oh, yeah. So 14 gauge needle. It's about 2 3/4 inches long. This is what we do to fix the pneumothorax. Can I teach you how to do this? I could, but that's awful dangerous. If you get something on the left side here, you get somebody injured on the left side, well, it's just like right in this general area, your heart. So now if I stick this 14 gauge needle in the middle of your heart, I'm not getting a Christmas card from you. So I do not sell these. I don't sell these because I want to get a Christmas card from you. So I don't want you to kill your wife doing it that way. So the top right is the MPA. I apologize for not bringing one. That's my fault. You guys can shoot me afterwards. The MPA is up top. We talk about cellular rolls, gloves. Gloves are very important. You go to Walmart, you'll see like the little kitchen gloves that are like clear. They look cheap. So, and yes. So as soon as you put those kitchen gloves on, you pull, what happens? They rip, they tear. So the moment they tear, you can take them off. They're doing you no good. You might as well just not be wearing gloves. So when I talk about my first aid kits, I have good quality gloves in there because I don't know where your fingers have been, where your body's been, and where you were at last night. So I don't want to touch you. So I put gloves on. It's a barrier. Now, I have no cuts on my hand right now. No abrasions, no nothing like that. So this is technically a barrier for me. So if I have to, I can't touch you like this because I don't have any cuts and no sources of entry there. So we can have the gloves. I did black for the trauma kit just because they're tactical and everybody likes tactical stuff, right? No, the main reason why I did the black gloves, I've got a lot of questions about why I put black gloves in that particular kit. When you see the other kit, you'll get blue gloves. And the blue gloves, they're exact same gloves, they're different colors. The black is because I sell to police officers and I sell to people who are doing special events and stuff like that. And if I'm under darkness and I'm working with you, do you want me to wear like something like this? Just like, hey, we're over here, we're on the X, shoot me now. No, so I wear black gloves in that particular situation because I don't have a spotlight either. I'm not using a headlamp shining down going, shoot me, So it's more dark. This reason is, it's a little hard to see blood if you're doing your assessment on your patient trying to find blood. It's a little harder with the black, but you can still feel black. Blood feels very slippery. It doesn't feel, it's different than sweat. You can rub your fingers together if you're in a dark environment. But these are able to let you see blood a little easier. The chest seals in my trauma pack come with 2 because a lot of times people are shooting at you and they go in and they go out, especially if you've got a little small frame like me. So that reminds people to put the chest seal on the front and also check the back side because the lungs go through the back as well. I do have a YouTube channel. It's for the 3 of you that watch it. Hello. So actually, I meant to do this earlier and I'm going to take just a few minutes. It's kind of like looking in the future. So I've been recording because I'm going to make a video. So I wanted to, everybody wave. you're kind of waving at the future right now, because in a few days you may actually see yourself on YouTube. So you're kind of waving yourself in the future. So just wanted to tell everybody hello.
Over here, I've got one finger up.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah, I got a tourniquet for you. But I do have a YouTube channel, Skinny Medic. When I start getting a little bigger, maybe I'll have to change the name on it, but right now it works. I have about 130 videos on there right now. And I go through and show you guys how to use all this stuff. I show you how to use the triangle bandage, how to use basic wounds. And I just did a video showing you guys how to use the trauma kits. They're there. Go look at them, check them out. I always recommend you guys take a first aid class, please. If you don't come with anything else, you heard me blabber for an hour, please take a first aid kit. Red Cross, American Heart Association, they're all out there. Take a first aid kit. Learn basic CPR. You can save a life, guys. You can do it. Okay, it's not that difficult. If they let me do it, anybody can do it. And then this is my home business. I've been starting it. This is actually a 1-year anniversary of me starting my home business. It's Medical Gear Outfitters, LLC. And so, yes, I started a home business, and I'm one of those people that have a small business that the taxes are killing me. So that's a whole other subject. But my wife and my wife was able to go PRN 6 weeks ago, and we are homeschooling our children. So you guys are supporting that's what you're supporting. You're letting my kids homeschool. You're letting my wife stay home with our kids. So we are very strong in that. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys letting me talk. So you really didn't have a choice. I had a microphone, but I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Doogie Howser.